Hey everyone, today we're recapping Jungle Cruise 2021. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this adventure. The movie begins with the legend of a magnificent tree hidden deep within the Amazon, a tree said to possess extraordinary healing powers. Its magical blossoms are known as the tears of the moon. Just one petal is said to cure any illness. Countless explorers have searched for the tears of the moon, but none of them ever succeeded. One man, Don Lope de Aguirre, came closer than anyone else. Unfortunately, the jungle defeated him before he could reach his goal. He wasn't killed, but he was left gravely wounded and eventually discovered by the tribe sworn to protect the sacred tree. Desperate to save himself, Don Lope demanded their sacred arrowhead, an ancient artifact capable of revealing the location of the tears of the moon. The guardians refused. A battle broke out, but before either side could prevail, the jungle itself swallowed them whole. In the next scene, McGregor presents the legend of the tears of the moon to a room full of distinguished scholars who happen to possess the very arrowhead needed to find the tree. Using a carefully drawn map of the Amazon, he explains that a place known as the Crystal Rapids is the most likely location of the legendary tree. The sacred arrowhead is the key to finding it. As soon as the presentation ends, Sir James immediately refuses to hand over the artifact, prompting laughter from the audience. Following his sister Lily's plan, however, McGregor calmly asks everyone for just a few more minutes. Meanwhile, Lily quietly slips away from her seat and heads deeper into the building. Using a map she secretly sketched on her hand, Lily searches for the artifact. A staff member mistakes her for a secretary and casually points her toward the library. Exactly what she needed. She sneaks inside and patiently waits for the perfect opportunity. As soon as the man enters the room, she quickly presses a chloroform-soaked handkerchief over his face, knocking him unconscious. Then, disguising herself as part of a nearby statue, Lily carefully reaches the display case containing the sacred arrowhead. She opens it with incredible precision. But at the worst possible moment, the door swings open. The man returns, accompanied by Sir James, and they aren't alone. The newcomer is Prince Joachim. He's determined to claim the sacred arrowhead for himself. The moment he sees the empty display case, he's absolutely furious. Just then, he spots Lily escaping with the artifact and immediately orders Sir James to chase after her. Lily climbs out the window and hangs from a ladder outside the building. Luckily, McGregor spots her just in time. He stops a passing bus, and Lily jumps aboard. Together, they make a clean getaway, with the sacred arrowhead safely in hand. Prince Joachim, on the other hand, doesn't take defeat very well. Realizing Sir James has failed him, he lashes out in anger, attacking everyone around him while demanding to know where Lily has gone. With the arrowhead secured, Lily begins packing for her expedition to the Amazon. She only brings the essentials. McGregor worries about his sister traveling alone into one of the most dangerous jungles on Earth. But trying to change Lily's mind is about as effective as arguing with a brick wall. Meanwhile, deep in the Amazon, Captain Frank Wolf entertains a boat full of tourists. He dramatically describes every tree, vine, and flower as if the jungle is actively trying to eat them alive. According to Frank, explorer skeletons are practically hanging from every branch. Right on cue, a group of hostile natives suddenly appears, terrifying the passengers. Panicked tourists immediately pay extra money to head back as quickly as possible, completely unaware that the entire attack is just another one of Frank's elaborate scam. Meanwhile, Lily and McGregor arrive in Porto Velho, Brazil, hoping to hire a boat that can take them deep into the Amazon. What they don't realize is that Prince Joachim's men have secretly followed them all the way there. Their mission is simple: recover the sacred arrowhead. Back at the dock, Frank says goodbye to his passengers. Unfortunately for him, the harbor master, Nilo, collects every cent from the tour, leaving Frank empty-handed. Already drowning in debt, Frank is given one final warning. If he doesn't repay what he owes within a week, his beloved boat will be confiscated. Determined to solve the problem, Frank sneaks into Nilo's office to retrieve the key to his boat. Unfortunately, the lock proves harder to crack than expected. At that very moment, Lily arrives looking for Nilo, mistakenly believing he's the only captain willing to take her into the Amazon. Seeing Frank struggling with the lock, she assumes he's Nilo and effortlessly opens the box with a simple hairpin. When she explains that she's searching for the tears of the moon, Frank immediately warns her about the dangers waiting in the jungle. Eventually, though, he agrees to take her, for a very generous price, of course. At the same time, McGregor brings the real Nilo over to negotiate a cheaper deal. While Lily argues over the price, Frank notices the sacred arrowhead hanging around her neck. Instantly, he realizes just how valuable this expedition could become. To convince Lily that he's the only captain capable of surviving the Amazon, Frank whistles for his pet jaguar. The animal suddenly leaps toward him. A dramatic fight breaks out, or at least, that's what it looks like. In reality, Frank is putting on quite a performance, eventually tricking the jaguar into jumping out the window. Everyone watching is impressed, especially Lily. The deal is made, and the adventure officially begins. A little later, Frank quietly thanks his pet jaguar for helping him close the deal. Not exactly the terrifying beast he pretended it was. Soon afterward, Lily and McGregor board the boat, and the journey begins. Frank casually tosses McGregor's excessive luggage into the river, deciding they won't be needing all of it. Meanwhile, Prince Joachim's men suddenly capture Lily, locking her inside a giant birdcage. Fortunately for them, Lily is far more resourceful than they expected. Using another hairpin, she quickly picks the lock, escapes the cage, and fights her way toward Frank's boat. Rather than diving into the water, she races across the dock, leaps aboard, grabs a rope, and swings safely onto the vessel. Determined to obtain the sacred arrowhead at any cost, Prince Joachim begins pursuing Lily aboard his massive submarine. His ultimate goal is to reach the Tears of the Moon and use their power to help Germany win the war. Frank notices the submarine closing in behind them and immediately pushes his boat to full speed. The chase quickly turns chaotic. The submarine crashes straight through Nilo's harbor, destroying much of the dock before Frank finally escapes into the river. Now safely beyond the port, the group continues deeper into the Amazon. The jungle adventure has officially begun. Before long, the relentless Amazon heat starts getting to McGregor. His perfectly elegant outfit suddenly feels like a terrible life choice. Meanwhile, Lily spots several pink river dolphins swimming nearby. Frank immediately warns her not to look them in the eyes. According to him, anyone who does will suffer terrible nightmares. Naturally, Lily ignores the warning and happily records the breathtaking scenery with her movie camera. Frank eventually asks to try filming as well, with predictably clumsy results. Meanwhile, Prince Joachim decides the only way to reach the Tears of the Moon is by awakening an ancient mystical force. Ignoring every warning about the jungle's curse, he sets his plan into motion. That evening, Frank prepares freshly caught piranhas for dinner. McGregor takes one look at the meal and politely decides he'd rather go to bed hungry. Later that night, Frank and Lily are chatting when McGregor suddenly comes running in, completely terrified. A jaguar is inside his cabin. Lily is furious after discovering the truth. The deadly beast Frank pretended to save everyone from is actually his beloved pet. Looks like the world's greatest river captain is also a pretty talented actor. Meanwhile, Prince Joachim finally reaches the mystical creature he's been searching for. Determined to break the jungle's ancient curse, he detonates the massive rock formation blocking the river's source. At that very moment, Lily is haunted by terrifying nightmares of giant snakes and wakes up screaming. Frank tells them they're about to enter one of the most dangerous stretches of the river. While pretending to focus on navigating, he secretly signals his pet jaguar to steal the sacred arrowhead. Unfortunately for him, things don't go according to plan. As soon as they reach the riverbank, Lily and McGregor become violently seasick. Even worse, the jaguar accidentally gets drunk after lapping up spilled wine during the rough ride, making the heist a complete disaster. After a while, they dock near a small village. Frank and McGregor step ashore, and McGregor opens up about his relationship with Lily. He admits that when he confessed he wasn't interested in women, most of his family turned their backs on him. Only Lily stayed by his side. Meanwhile, Lily sneaks into Frank's cabin and discovers that he's also spent years searching for the Tears of the Moon. Frank admits he searched for the tree for centuries before eventually giving up. Lily reminds him that this time is different. Now they finally have the sacred arrowhead. Suddenly, tribal warriors appear out of nowhere and fire darts into everyone's necks. Within seconds, the entire group loses consciousness. When they wake up, they're brought before the tribe's chief. At least, that's what it seems. Moments later, the truth comes out. The entire tribe is made up of actors working for Frank. Just another one of his elaborate performances. Lily is absolutely furious. She grabs a spear and chases Frank around the village. One lie after another comes to light until she finally loses her patience and punches him square in the face. That night, Frank asks McGregor whether Lily will ever forgive him. McGregor simply replies, he wouldn't, not after that many lies. Later, one of the tribe's women examines the sacred arrowhead and translates its mysterious markings. According to her, the tree can only be found where the moon sets. Still convinced Frank can't be trusted, Lily takes back the rest of her money and decides to continue without him. Meanwhile, poor McGregor accidentally paints his face with permanent tribal dye. That look is definitely going to last a while. At that very moment, far away in the jungle, Don Lope de Aguirre and his cursed soldiers finally awaken. Lily tries to escape, but living vines suddenly wrap themselves around her. She manages to free herself and even burns several of the cursed warriors. Frank then confronts Aguirre himself. He grabs one of Aguirre's deadly snakes during the fight, but moments later he's stabbed with a sword. Frank falls into the river. Believing he's dead, Lily breaks down in tears. One of the tribal women urges everyone to scatter into the jungle while keeping the sacred arrowhead safe. She explains that Aguirre and his cursed men are searching for the tears of the moon to finally break their curse and reclaim their souls. Meanwhile, Aguirre cleverly releases a swarm of bees to track Lily's scent. The plan works. Prince Joachim soon finds her and finally gets his hands on the sacred arrowhead. As Lily wanders through the jungle, she suddenly comes face to face with Frank. Alive, she rushes over, overjoyed. But then she notices something impossible. The sword is still sticking through his body, yet there's not a single drop of blood. Frank finally reveals the truth. He's over 400 years old, and thanks to the curse, he simply can't die. Trying to help him, Lily braces her foot against his chest and pulls the sword free. McGregor witnesses the entire thing, then immediately faints. After waking him up, Lily thanks Frank for everything he's done for her, including accidentally breaking his leg earlier. She hugs him warmly and promises she'll be back. Meanwhile, aboard the submarine, Prince Joachim watches as the swarm of bees gathers around the glass. Realizing they're leading somewhere important, he orders the hatch open so they can enter. The bees settle over different sections of the map, revealing the direction they should travel. Joachim immediately sets course. Curious about Frank's immortality, Lily asks who he really is. Frank reveals his true name, Francisco. He explains that his father once served alongside Don Lope de Aguirre's father. After his father's death, Aguirre practically raised him like his own son. The two became as close as brothers. Years later, Aguirre's daughter became gravely ill. Desperate to save her, they began searching for the tears of the moon. The journey was brutal. Many of the men became sick and died along the way. Eventually, Frank and the survivors also fell ill. Fortunately, a tribal chief took them in and healed them using the magical petals. But Aguirre wasn't satisfied. Consumed by desperation, he demanded the chief hand over the sacred arrowhead so he could claim the remaining petals. The chief refused. A fierce battle broke out. As the chief drew his final breath, he placed a terrible curse upon Aguirre and every one of his men. The curse trapped them forever. They could never leave the river's reach. Frank refused to follow Aguirre into madness. The two became bitter enemies. After countless battles, Frank finally trapped Aguirre and his soldiers inside a cave. Years later, he built his boat and accidentally sank an entire town. He's still not entirely sure how Aguirre managed to escape. Meanwhile, a tribal woman guides McGregor toward the sacred tree by boat. Suddenly, Prince Joachim arrives. The woman dives into the river to escape, while Joachim captures McGregor and threatens to kill innocent people unless he reveals where Lily is. As Frank teaches Lily how to steer the boat, she asks what he'll do if the curse is finally broken. Frank admits that, after living the same life for 4 centuries, he's simply tired. He's seen everything, done everything, more times than he can count. All he wants now is to rest in peace. But Lily doesn't want that. She wants Frank to live, to finally enjoy a real life beside her. Meanwhile, Prince Joachim forces McGregor to guide him toward Lily's location. At last, Frank and Lily arrive at the place marked on the map. Frank dives beneath the water and discovers a hidden mechanism that must be activated. Although she's terrified of swimming, Lily gathers her courage and follows him underwater. She presses a nearby stone, only to become trapped inside a submerged cage. Thinking quickly, Frank shares his air with her, allowing her to keep breathing while she struggles to free herself. Eventually, Lily manages to activate the mechanism. But before they can celebrate, Frank is attacked by a swarm of piranhas and disappears beneath the water. The mechanism lowers the water level throughout the cavern. Moments later, Frank regains consciousness. At last, they've reached the legendary tears of the moon. Lily excitedly tells Frank that once the curse is broken, he should come live with her in London. Before he can answer, Prince Joachim's submarine suddenly bursts into the cavern. Joachim captures everyone and forces Frank to guide him to the sacred tree. When they finally arrive, the prince is disappointed to discover that the tree appears completely dead. Still, he's convinced Frank and Lily know how to restore it. Frank offers Joachim a deal. He'll help revive the tree, but only if he's allowed to keep one magical petal to break his own curse. The prince agrees. Inside the ancient chamber, Frank can't decipher the mysterious inscriptions carved into the walls. Lily steps in to help. In return, she demands that she also receive one petal. Joachim reluctantly agrees. As Lily translates the inscription, she breaks the sacred arrowhead in two. Immediately, a single glowing petal appears within the wall. the ancient tree comes back to life, blooming beneath the moonlight. Without warning, Lily suddenly shoots Frank. He dramatically collapses. Of course, it's all part of the plan. While the prince's soldiers rush toward Frank, Lily races to grab the magical petal before the moonlight disappears. Unfortunately, time runs out. The moon moves away. The tree withers once more. Only a single petal remains. Prince Joachim demands that Lily hand it over. Instead, she throws it onto the ground. Frank quickly grabs it before anyone else can. At that very moment, Aguirre and his cursed soldiers attack. Frank takes control of the boat to confront them, leaving the Jaguar and McGregor behind. Meanwhile, Prince Joachim attacks Lily once again. To everyone's surprise, McGregor fights back. He lands several punches before a massive rock crashes down onto Joachim, finally ending the prince's obsession for good. Aguirre demands that Frank surrender the magical petal. Frank calmly opens his hand. Empty. The petal is already gone. He secretly passed it to McGregor. Before Aguirre can react, the enchanted vines wrap around him and his soldiers once again, turning them back into stone forever. Lily arrives just in time to see Frank completely covered in vines. Frozen, silent, like a statue, heartbroken, she gently places the tear of the moon petal into his mouth. Nothing happens. No movement. No sign of life. Devastated, she slowly turns to leave. But then, the Jaguar refuses to follow her. Moments later, it lets out a loud roar. Lily turns around and sees Frank standing there, alive. His curse is finally broken. Sometime later, McGregor reports their incredible discovery to the Royal Society. He proudly announces that his sister, Lily, has accepted a position as a professor at Cambridge instead of joining the society itself. The legend of the Tears of the Moon is finally proven to be true. As for Frank, he's learning how to drive a car. Let's just say navigating London traffic is a very different challenge than sailing the Amazon. The two begin a brand new life together, and that's where the movie comes to an end. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more movie summary. And be sure to turn on notifications so you never miss the next adventure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.